Morning guys, Jeff with HKS Systems Lock and Safe. Just showing you our job for today is going to be in a strip mall. This used to be the big booming strip mall back in the day. Now it's literally got, for whatever reason, the only survivor in this whole thing is a buffet. Used to be 50 plus stores in this mall. All of them are vacant, other than one. Well, actually two, technically. One's being short-term rented. If you remember, we put an access system in on this guy with the electric with the electric lock set, rather. Alarm lock PDL 1300 with HID card. Everything was up and running. Kids came by and tore that front door off on the left side. That guy there. So it's all tore apart. The guy that originally owned this place or rented this place was a really strange cat and did some really shoddy workmanship on all the panic bars. They're all mounted on the face of the door, and wood screws and washers and crap. So pulling all that out, making that left side stationary, keeping everything in that side because that one's good to go. Everything's nice and smooth on there. But yeah, you could see throughout all this, not one of them other than a buffet place way down there, little Chinese buffet place, which I don't even know how they're making it, to be honest with you. And then this used to be actually a whole Walmart. They knocked it down, leveled it, and they parked it across town less than a mile from here. So yeah, that's progress, I guess, right? Take a perfectly good Walmart, knock it down, level it, leave it vacant, and build across town. Just like Vegas, I guess. They do that every couple of years. But anyways, we're going to be taking this door apart, putting flush bolts in, securing it, making it so it's stationary. So that's got something to lock into and is rigid and you can't pull it open. And then we're going to test everything, make sure it works good, and we'll keep going through here. What they're planning on doing is, as what I understand, for this whole section here, all these stores, they're going to basically demo it in the next couple years, and they're going to build a shopping center and high-rise, or at least what we call high-rise here, a couple levels of apartment buildings, and ought to be interesting. So either way, we're going to take care of this guy and secure it up much better, but we'll be showing you as we come and go. Thanks. All right, guys, so here's what we got. We got the work truck there. We got our nice little rolling cart, which I love. As you get older, you don't want to carry everything around. So this brainiac put this system in. It's Adams Wright vertical rod, surface mounted, which is terrible to begin with. Terrible design, but I'm not going to fault them on the brand. I will fault them on everything else though. So he ended up mounting it into the actual stop, and that's just the channel, which is really not meant to be structural. It's just more so to stop the door. And you can see it's just meant to clip in. So literally you mounted it to the worst thing, and then his flush bolts that he did have there. If you know anything about the flush bolts, it's about the pinky size. Yeah, that's a little oversized there, so we're gonna have to finagle that. We're taking all this crap out. We're gonna end up putting the flush bolt system back in the way it was designed, and it's much better. And then they're going to just have to keep the door unlocked during the day, during business hours, which this is a batting cage for softball, so they're not even open that often. I think it's just a weekend thing. You can see the nice do-it-yourselfer job there. Whatever, threshold full of washers. Don't know why, but it doesn't seem too secure. So we're going to take that out, epoxy that all in, reroute, and recut a hole in there, and then patch somehow that big old mambo jumbo up there. So we'll be back. All right, guys, so we got a fresh pallet. We got nothing there, nothing up there. Took the whole panic bar off, all the shoes. Yeah, that was freaking fun. Everything's rusted in place, self-tapping screws. Everything was rotted in place, so I just took that apart and went to town on it. Pretty much all junk anyways. I'm not going to be reusing it. It's not even an option, so I'm not going to be reusing that stuff. So we're going to now start with the fun process of plugging the hole in the frames, put in something there to cover that hole up a little bit, and then putting the flush bolts in, and then getting them going. So we'll be back. Alright guys, back to the next step for this. So we cleaned out the frame. You can see it's a pretty big hole down there. Those are washers. I don't know exactly, I can't get them out, so I'm just going to fill them in around them. I'm thinking my flush bolt's going to be on the side. Either way, I'm going to drill whatever I have to drill to get into there for the flush bolt. So what are you going to do with that hole? Well, I'm not redoing that whole threshold. I can tell you that right now. That's not me. That's going to be somebody else if you want to do that. Nothing really wrong with it, just old. Got a lot of holes. So I would 100% vouch if you are a do-it-yourselfer, get yourself steel stick. It's great for fixing, anything pretty much. It's an epoxy. So what it is like a two-part epoxy, the black center and the gray outer. And then what you do is mash that together just like Play-Doh. Give it about a minute or two of mixing. Make it so it's like a gray, dark gray color. Very similar to, maybe even a little darker than the cover case of the case. And then you just shove it in there, and you only have about 5 minutes for it to work or so. It gets a little hot, so don't freak out about that. Not enough to start a fire, hopefully, but gets a little warm. So you just mash it all together, shove it in the hole, let it set up, and then we'll come back if we need to put a little bit more in. I got a second one I could put in there. This is just the end of it. The end of the tube that I had from, I use this for safe work a lot. When you plug holes, I usually just drill 3/16 holes, so it's tiny. This, or if you need something a little more hard, high security, it's called Carbonex. I think it's really honestly the same company. They just put carbide chips in there. Same thing though, but it's like $3 times the amount that this steel stick is. Called Carbonex, and it's got little carbon chips in there, and it eats your drill bits if you have to go re-drill it. So but yeah, steel stick's fine for 99% of the things, unless it's a high security container. Then maybe go with the Carbonex and maybe a ball bearing in there to make matters even worse. So we'll be back. All right guys, now for the old timers trick. So we've got the flush bolt mounted in the top. We've got a big ass old hole. So how are we gonna do that? How are we gonna get that center line in there? Very simple. Watch this. You get your cheapest, brightest you can find nail polish. You put a hole right in the middle of it. Simple and easy. So you just take that, put your cover plate, mount it to the screws, and it's going to give you at least some security there. So we'll be right back. All right, so we got the top one all done, sitting pretty. Maybe not pretty, but it's sitting secure. That's what's more important. If you don't know about like the flush bolt system, basically comes in a pack. You have a long threaded rod. One side is typically threaded longer than the other, and you're going to screw that little bolt on. That's the bolt that goes into either your header or your threshold. This is the guide, which is going to go in the door, and that basically lets it so that plunger will go straight through there, and when it's retracted it sits in the middle of it. Let me get a better indicator of that. So it sits like that in the door so it doesn't fall out. It sits just below that lip so it won't move around in there. A lot of times when you see problems with those, these are cracked, so it's going to allow it to flop back and forth. You could tell right away by just throwing the bolt, and if you could wiggle it back and forth, it's a broken guide. To get the guide centered, you're just going to screw it in the side of the door frame, put the bolt through there from the top, and then you're going to screw in the two screws from the side, and it's pretty easy. You need a little bit of manual labor to guide that in. Sometimes it's a little flaky. So what I typically do is put that in first, put in the guide, then put that in last, because that's easier just to put hold in place with the bolt extended. Put that through the middle of it, just like threading a needle. Put that in the middle, put your screw in, and you're done. So we'll be back in a bit. Alrighty guys, we're finishing up with the bottom one now. You can see that's the patch. That shit's actually more dense than the threshold is. You're going to put your paint strike indicator right in the middle there. Close the door. Throw the bolt a couple times to get some paint on there. Pull that out. Close the door again. Throw it a couple times. Now you know where the hole's going. All you gotta do is drill that hole and you should be good to go. Easy peasy. We'll be back. Alright guys, so we're just finishing up strike. We just put 2 screws in there. That is a strike for Schlag. New flush bolts, top and bottom. We put the epoxy in there. Then we adjusted it to fit that. And we're going to throw this guy. That's the top one. Bottom one is a little bit bowed. The door's bowed, so it is what it is. It's not my door. Throw that one. Makes it nice and secure. And let's see. Hey, we got a winner. Door's locked. Put our fob up to it. Door's unlocked. So that was a full replacement of the panic bar system that did not work into a flush bolt system that does work, and now we're up and secure, as good as this door can be. Once again, the door is very old and crappy condition, but we made it work. So if you need service for this or similar to this, give us a call. HKS Systems, Lock and Safe, 847-204-7046. Thanks guys.